And as highly distracted homeschool moms, oftentimes we are more willing to kind of go off the beaten path. And I really do think that's a strength. I have friends who are very type A and who very much wish they could. They're like, but to us, that to-do list is such the driving force that we have trouble taking the opportunity to dig into something. And so I found that to be a huge strength across the board.
One of the things you said was that there are actually some strengths to being highly distracted. And I was like, oh, this is good to know. I always want to know the good things. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. What are some of the things that are strengths that we can derive from being highly distracted moms?
I think one of the big ones is that as homeschool moms, we want our kids to have a love of learning. And some of the best ways to do that, in my experience, is to follow those rabbit trails and to be willing to take a second and take a break from the curriculum and just follow that thing that's really interesting to them. And as highly distracted homeschool moms, oftentimes we are more willing to do that and to kind of go off the beaten path. And I really do think that's a strength. I have friends who are very type A and who very much wish they could. They're like, but to us, that to-do list is such the driving force that we have trouble taking the opportunity to dig into something. And so I found that to be a huge strength across the board. And not that we don't ever struggle with doing that. And obviously we can't do that 24/7. But, being able to say, you know what, guys, that's a great question. Let's look more into that. Maybe we're going to watch a documentary or listen to a podcast on that or read a book on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But sometimes what I find myself doing, and I totally agree with you, because we will often do that too. But then we'll go on YouTube to look at a video on something and then, oh, look at this video.
Yes.
2 hours later, oh, wait a minute. We were supposed to be learning about Pompeii or whatever it was that we were studying. And so it can lead to more distraction. However, that also can be a learning opportunity for our kids, because you never know what the Lord is going to show you, maybe something that you didn't even know you needed to know about.
Yes.
Or talk to your kids about.
Another one that I found is definitely been the ability to pivot. Life has a lot of things that just happen and pop up, and the ability to take that opportunity to make shifts and adjustments fairly quickly is something oftentimes we can do. Now we can, with every strength, there is a weakness. Every weakness, there's a strength. So it's always finding that balance there. But, there's more of a willingness to stop and to do moments of ministry, and to take the opportunity with our kids to, be willing to take a break from things, to be able to pivot over to maybe a discipline issue, heart issue that needs to be addressed. And so it's one of those things that I really do think is a strength, because God gives us very specific things for a very specific reason. And another big one has definitely been with my kids having more understanding, because whether kids have ADHD or don't have ADHD, kids are highly distracted as a whole, as a general rule. And as parents, sometimes we can get so far removed from that and have so many strategies that we lose empathy, or we forget that there's actual strategy that has to be learned. And so we just assume our kids should be little adults. And so I feel like by having those struggles, and even though some of them are not current struggles, some are still, even though some of them are not current struggles, they're recent enough that I remember what I had to do to learn how to pivot and how to grow in those areas. And I'm able to teach my kids better and equip them better because of that.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.